Hi, hello everybody. Okay, so I hope what have you been listening to right now and before this has been of help, right? Now let's dig deeper into the RISE model itself, and I hope this helps you understand whatever you've been anticipating coming your way will be answered through this, right? So this will go a little deeper than the overview that was given earlier. Okay, so let's start. Now we mentioned the fact that you will be requiring some foundational skills, right, along with the passion that has been discussed through every time. Okay, and I mentioned the passion comprises of the knowledge, the purpose, the skill, and the desire that you require to have within yourself. These are your inwardly required skills to ensure that you move the entire RISE 6 model to become the pioneer and the monk that we're looking in you. Then the foundation to build this, right, it comes from the goals that you create for yourselves, right? Goals is something that you will work towards. Then it requires the mindset that you create for yourself. And again, all these things will be helped through, right? At least the foundational factors will be completely helped you. We just want you to come with your passion. The habits that get cultivated, there'll be a way of cultivating habits at how you go about doing this repeatedly so that you remain in your course, even for a longer time. And then the activity that you have to perform to reach to the top. Okay, so these are the foundational activities along with the passion that will be required, and we'll be going through each of these in very, very detailed fashion in the subsequent ones. Okay. Now, we've talked about the RISE model as a framework which will help you A, create digital assets, B, monetize them, C, go about using the wealth from there to grow and compound. Then we talked about the fact that you will have to go about to the next level of diversifying yourself from there, and then go about becoming a pioneer in the field that you've chosen to. Right? Now to do this, all these require 6 discrete steps as been mentioned to you, and have the acronym called RISE UP. You can see the acronym in the orange ones. Now, the way this RISE UP model or the framework has been devised to be learnt is through a membership model, and you're currently, as we discussed, in the silver model, right? So once you complete the RISE 1 model, that qualifies you to go to the RISE 2 model, unless you have positioned yourself differently, being an expert out there who has done and created their respective digital assets. They understand their niche, they have an audience which is working for them, and they have also been able to monetize it to the extent that they want to at this stage. But now maybe they've joined to kind of go about exploring it to the next level. Then for those people, they should get into the diamond level, which is the RISE 3 model. All right. And hence there are each discrete step depending on the way you have categorized yourself. Right? Now, even to the point where people have even scaled themselves of selling, etc. Right? If they want to, there's a desire to diversify, they don't know how, and that's when the RISE 5 comes into play. And once you do, and you become again an expert in that element of things, then you go about institutionalizing it, becoming a pioneer by innovating in your respective field of expertise. Okay, so each of this comes with a membership model which has been detailed through, right? And the last model, the monk model, right, is only by invitation. And as you remember, our larger purpose is to create the monks out there who can be part of the LLP, so that we institutionalize those kind of services to the larger global world that we are looking at, right? And this is only if they choose to and there is a willingness. But from our perspective, we currently want to see people who have gone through the grind and understand the whole system, based on which they have been qualified and are now ready to get imbibed into the LLP. All right, so that's our qualification. That's only by invitation. Right. However, each of these memberships will come with their respective community and like-minded people, and each of them will also have the opportunity to interact with each other and go about using their expertise and each other's expertise to create their own ecosystems further. Okay, so that is the hub that is being talked about right now. Now, if you understood the membership model, we have, as I mentioned to you, the live, strive and thrive. We feel, and we've seen out of our experiences, that it takes 90 days to finish the first 3 if you're a novice, and it takes another 90 days to go about diversifying yourself while you get into the whole compounding mode of your wealth and so on and so forth, right? Because that requires a particular cycle to happen, okay, where you feel confident. And then you go about discreetly diversifying yourself into other fields because you have become a expert in the field, on the digital platforms, in the whole digital era of things, because you know everything by then. All right. Now, having said that, if you see on your left hand side of the screen, there is Tib, Tob and Som, right? If some of you who have read the book, the book that I've written for change management called Changealization, you will be familiar with this term, but for the sake of people who don't know, this is, the TIP stands for thinking inside the box, right? The TOB is thinking outside the box, and SOM is strategic operations management, right? So if you realize the categorization for RISE 1 is all thinking inside the box, that is what you have with your foundational skills, and if not, how you can build it to the point where you have a mindset where you know what you want, you have the desire to want that, right, which then takes you to the next level, which is the think outside the box, which would mean analyzing your entire environment, which is your digital era of things which are happening, what is working, what is not, right, through a guided course, of course, that we take you through. Create your assets if you don't have them already, right, and then go about monetizing them through a process of again blitzscaling, but it should be ready for that system. Okay, that's when you think outside the box, which would mean your regular thinking will not work. You have to think in the way the world is operating right now. Okay, hence the example of the creator economy, the influencer world, and so on and so forth, and the knowledge industry and how it's moving. Okay, and I truly hope, and I'm sure you would have gone through these details in much more deeper fashion that was discussed earlier. All right, if not, I think and I recommend you should do that. Okay, with that said, the strategic operations management, right? So once you created your product, and now you're starting to scale by virtue of doing the sales and marketing, wearing that hat, right? I told you create as a service, you will never go wrong. Then you require certain sort of strategic operations management, right? And we'll dwell into it a little more deeper in the subsequent ones. The reason for strategic operations is because this is long-term thinking, right? You have to think long-term with which makes you better than your competition if there is any, right? And that would require a thinking which might not be a regular Joe of sorts, but it will require to put your expertise in your niche, your desires to jump the ladder that you want to, and create that audience that you're looking for in that particular fashion, where you've created your systems of operation for the entire ecosystem. All right, and then you utilize your ecosystems to create more ecosystems out of them, to go about creating a larger ecosystem which will help you blitzscale, diversify without putting the similar kind of effort you did earlier, right? That is where you take you into the course of the digitalization activities. Why? Because you've digitalized your model one time, now you're replicating it. Okay, and the process, whatever earnings you're having, You're making your earnings work for themselves to create your wealth on its own without working for that wealth creation. All right? That requires some rationalization in terms of analyzing market systems and so on and so forth, which we teach you. Right? So these are those three things, and that is the basic elements that go into play for the RISE model, and that's how they've been devised with the respective lectures. Right? I hope this is interesting for you. Okay? Now each of these elements also work on a larger framework called the EPIC framework. I will not go into details of that right now because it will be covered deeply in the subsequent one. But the EPIC system consists of a model on each of the EPIC, if you will, to create such ecosystems for multiplying, all right, on a continuous improvement basis. So that also has been built into this RISE model. Hence it makes it very powerful, because once you start on that journey, unless you become inwardly completely undesirous of achieving your goal, right, the system itself can help you push it through. But if there's a case of hopelessness, nothing will happen. But I'm sure it's not you, because you've jumped the first ladder and you'll go to the next step. All right? And with that said, okay, let's jump into the next one. And that would be the governance. All right? Let me cover this in a very short time, because these are the activities or the events that is foundational for the systems and for you to be part of the entire ecosystem and create your communities and your ecosystem and so on and so forth. All right. Now, the governance is how the entire RISE model is kind of regulated through, right? For this, there would be weekly inner circle meetings, right, at the right levels, right? We now, since it's an introduction, we are opening it for the market. It is for all the levels right now, right? There would be a weekly meetup. It could be between 1 to 1.5 hours. This will include clarification, feedback, support systems, and so on and so forth, so that people move on wherever they're getting stuck on, right? Then there will be a monthly challenge, right? There will be a practical challenge which will be given to people. It will anyway be a part of end of each of these the RISE levels. There would be a practical outcome that you go through as you progress. But in the process, you do a lot of challenges for yourself, so that you have your own motivational ones coming out of the wins that you create for yourselves, right? These challenges will create systems of gamification, as you call it, because we are putting this as a game model where you win to get to next level. That's how it has been devised, and each of them will then result into some reward and recognition. All right, so that's a monthly mode of challenges, and will result into other clubs. And there will be many clubs out there. One of them is the Achievers Club, but these will grow with time, right? And we will nominate a few people and take them to maybe some Hall of Fames, and people who could do it faster than the others and be able to give faster results or better results than the others. And if there's enough competition, I'm sure the other people realize and run with the motivation that comes about. Okay, so that's the monthly one. Then there'll be quantum leadership meets. All right, this is people who have achieved. So these are achievers who will be taken on a roadmap of acceleration, where the newer, faster, and the latest things will be discussed for them to move faster on the chain, who have the capabilities to reach to the monk level. All right, so that would be, as I told you, there will be many clubs. Quantum is more of a leadership meeting related club, where people have already achieved certain stature while doing this. All right, hope this is finding its relevance, and you are finding this interesting to take the journey on with its old stride, right, with your desires and your goals and everything. All right, I'll see you in the next one.